Multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. One of those key things to understand about multiplying fractions and mixed numbers is that you do not need a common denominator. You just multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators and then simplify as necessary. So if you look here, what we have here is multiplying fractions. If you were to find this, 1/2 times 3/4. So all we do is we multiply 1 times 3. That's going to be 3. 2 times 4, 8. It is simpler than than adding and subtracting, because all you do is you multiply. Well, here we have 2/5 times 1/5. This is going to be 2 25ths. Now, one problem I want to do over here that's a little bit different, I want to add one here. If I had this problem here instead, remember that dot just means multiplication. If I had this problem over here, 10/11 times 2/5. One of the ways that a lot of people will do this is they'll go ahead and they'll simplify the problem without or before they even get started on it. So they end up with a simplified fraction at the end. And the way they do this is they say to themselves, well, hey, I'm going to multiply the 10 up here. I'm going to multiply the 11 up here. And if I look down here, if I'm multiplying by 10 times 2 and 11 times 5, well, I'm going to have a factor of 5 up here in the 10, and a factor of 5 down here in the 5. So what I can do is I can actually get rid of some of this. I can just change, because I'm going to have a 5 on the top and a 5 on the bottom, I can change this to a 1, providing up here I change that to a 2. Because all I'm doing is I'm dividing the top and the bottom by 5. So I'm simplifying it before I even get started. And then what I end up with is 2 times 2, 4, 11. If I didn't do it that way, I'd end up with 20 over 55. And then I would have to divide both sides by 5, which would still work. It would just make it a little bit messier. And you can do that whenever you have something like that. Now here, remember, if you're multiplying by a whole number is simply a number. The numerator is the whole number. The denominator is 1. So you can just multiply them. So this is going to be 35 over 8. And then you got to simplify. So this is going to be, well, 8 goes into 35 4 times with 3 left over. Same thing here. Remember that dot means multiplication. So this is just going to be 3 over 1. And feel free to draw that in. Feel free to write that in. So 3 times 1, 3, 3/5. Now, do our answers make sense? Well, in this one here, it's a little bit hard to tell because our number isn't all that big. But yeah, 1/2 times this, well, it would be close to that, yeah. Like I said, it's a little bit harder to see. Here, our number is going to be pretty close to 0 because both these numbers are close to 0. And we're being asked, remember, we're being asked what's 1/5 of this number. We're being asked what's 3/4 of this number. So it should be less than the number you have here. Now down here, we're being asked, well, what's 5 times this number? So it's going to be more than that number. So if ever the second part is smaller than the first part, then you know you're going to end up with a smaller number over here, which is what you did. If ever the second part is bigger, like in this one here, then the first part, you're going to end up with a bigger number. And here, check it out, 3 times 1/5. Well, hey, that's really a lot smaller. Now, I believe that we are done.